Yo, 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 welcome to the second installment of Dropping the Soap. I'm Marty, this is my boy Junior. What's up, Junior? How you been, man? How's life treating you these days, man?
Damn, bro, I don't know how to tell you how I've been. I've been kind of up and down. So, I hurt my elbow working out, so I haven't worked out for like the last 3 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was in the cell and somebody came by and see me with my shirt off, bro, and they roasted my ass, bro.
Why?
They said that with my shirt off, I look like Roger from American Dad.
Oh, shit, malnourished. Oh, big old stomach, skinny arms. Malnourished arms.
My confidence went down all the way. Shot the hell down.
That's
Now
funny,
you
bro.
know,
That's hella funny. Hey, we're famous now, bro. We got like a couple views. We're on YouTube.
I'm telling you, we got the 2 views, and I'm walking like this.
I know. I'm like expecting people to come up to me and ask me for my autograph, and I'm like, dude, we're getting there. I'm glad though. I'm glad for the second installment, man. What do we got? What do we got on our minds today, man? What are we gonna talk about? I heard you got some company. You're gonna bring another guest in, or what?
Yeah, we got. I'm gonna name drop him. He's been a mentor to me. He's been a mentor to people here. He's been down in prison for a while. I'm gonna have to name drop him. My boy Clarence Eugene Lamar Kilbert.
The full name, heck yeah.
Full name. I left out the Tyrone, but you know what I'm saying. We'll throw that in. We'll let him throw that in there. Nah, but he's a good dude, and we brought him on here so he could share his experience and people could see how it went from being in prison from back in the '90s to how it is now. So see the
All right.
culture change and the shift change that we have now.
Cool. Well, without further ado, let's bring on Clarence.
The man, the myth, the
The
legend.
man, the myth, the legend.
Hey guys,
Clarence, what's up, OG? How you
going
doing
on?
today, man? How you
Hey,
feeling?
I'm all right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing
I'm
good,
all
man.
right,
I'm feeling great.
Good,
I'm feeling
good. Me
great.
too, man. Me too. Glad to
Welcome to
be
the
here.
podcast, Dropping the Soap. You already know a little bit about it. Me and you've already
Yeah,
met once. Obviously,
yeah,
we talked on the phone a few times. Um,
yeah.
Before we start, I just want to say, man, you're a very, very authentic person, man, and I really do enjoy the conversations that I've had with you, bro. And I see
Thank you,
a lot of growth and a lot of positivity in you, man, that we don't
thank you.
always get from a lot of people. So, without further ado, man, tell us a little bit
Appreciate
about
it.
yourself. Introduce yourself. Give
All
us your
right.
spiel, man. Who are you, man? What
Uh,
you about?
Okay, my name's Clarence Kilbert, man. I'm currently serving life possibility of parole. I got a total of 32 years of prison time. I've seen the culture from how CDC was, prison system was then, and how it is now. I've come far in my life. I'm here as a mentor, mentoring youth to not make the same mistakes I did.
Wow.
And prison has taught me a lot about myself. This journey that I've been on has made me become the person who I am today. Had I not come to prison, I probably would have been dead. I would not be who I am today if I didn't go through the trials and tribulations that I had. I came to prison when I was 18, totally different, very violent place. Murders and violence is just through the roof. Now, not so much. Now, that it's a culture shift, a culture change, and change is welcomed in the CDCR. And I myself am proud to be a part of a part of solution and not part of the problem anymore.
That's great. Yeah, I know. I remember hearing about it. I think through Junior
Yeah.
that they're starting to focus more on like the rehabilitation aspects of prison instead of
Yes.
just like this
Yeah.
punishment where they lock you in a cell. They all they're doing is
Right.
feeding you, sending you out to yard. Like
Right.
now they're starting to focus on like they're creating more groups and they're really trying to focus on the rehabilitation. That's really great. So
Yes.
which is really great. I meant to say. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about your childhood. Like I know that you grew up in the foster care system a little bit because me and you have talked.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I come from a mixed background. My mother's white, my dad's black. It was a lot of to describe my childhood in 3 words. It was violent, abusive, and lonely. Um,
Wow.
because my parents used to fight a lot, especially over money, and so my mother was a strict disciplinarian who had a rule with a temper, and she ruled with an iron fist. So my dad wasn't necessarily a violent man, but him and my mother used to fight all the time. When
Right.
they fought, my mother would take it out on me for any little thing I did wrong. So when I was in my household, I was always felt like I was walking on eggshells. Like at any given moment, she would snap and abuse me. And
Mm,
so
mm.
with her beatings of me made me build a very strong resentment towards her. A very hurt. I was very hurt. I was very angry, and I had a very built up resentment towards her. At age 7, I was taken away and placed in foster care. I learned quickly that to them, I was a walking paycheck. All they really cared about was the money that they got from me. because the houses that I've been in had real kids, their own kids in there, and I seen the difference in the way that I was treated and the other foster kids were treated, and how their real kids were treated. Case in point, I was in a home, and my birthday and a kid named James' birthday fell on the same day, and so they had a big party for us and a birthday party, and he got all the gifts. I only got one gift, and that was it.
Wow.
He got a lot more gifts than I did. He got all the attention, everything that I was craving for my family. I didn't get. I was neglected. I wasn't paid attention to. I was kind of just basically felt like I was swept under the rug.
Right. And your needs weren't really being met, right? Like you said, you were feeling neglected, you were feeling rejected, your needs weren't being met. And so continue.
Yeah. So from that point on, that's when I started acting out. And when I started acting out, I saw that I was starting to get attention for my acting out. So it made me realize, oh, when I act out, I get the attention. It might be negative attention, but at least I'm getting the attention.
Right.
So I further continued to act out. When I was placed back home with my real mother, I felt very powerless in the household. Things didn't change. I felt powerless. I felt like I was not in control. No matter what I did, I was getting yelled at and I was getting beat for. So it really gave me a very low self-confidence and low self-esteem. Oh, sure. It gave me depression. Yeah. And me being so powerless at home, when I was going to school and I was getting in fights, I found out that, I can have control outside of my home. So that's what I started to do. And I adapted my mother's temper and her violence. I normalized it because she normalized it. So when I was at school, I didn't think anything was wrong with violence. So when I got into it, or one of my friends did something that I didn't like, I was ready to fight. I was my first go-to, because when I was at home and I did something my mother didn't like, that's what I got. So when I was at school, I did the same thing. I normalized it. So in turn, I started becoming a bully. I started bullying other kids because I wanted that power. I wanted to be the one in control. Yeah. There's a saying called hurt people. And that's what I was doing because I was hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were sort of gaining this sort of status from it too, right? People were giving you recognition. You were the big bad dude. And that status probably made you feel good. It made you probably feel like you weren't neglected or weren't rejected. It's a false sense of assurance, but still, it's like, I feel like that was probably giving you some sort of like, status, and then you were feeding off of it, and it was like propelling you more deeper and deeper.
Absolutely, because sorry, Marty, go ahead. No, I'm just gonna say because at a young age, I saw that I had a very unhealthy desire for love, attention, and affection. Yeah. And so I was doing anything to get it. And even though it was in a form of negative, like you said, the bravado, people talking about me, Clarence this, Clarence that, the attention that I got was what I wanted, what I craved. And since, like I said, I couldn't get it at home, I was getting it there. And it built up this false image and belief system that's what I had to do in order for people to pay attention to me.
Yeah, it reminds me of that quote. I think I might have shared it with you before, but it's aggressive behavior is a form of compensation for feelings of inadequacies, right? When we're inadequate and we're feeling like we're not enough, sometimes we do display that with aggressive behavior, right? It's a form of compensation. I'm not feeling like I'm enough. I'm not feeling like I'm doing enough in my life. Or I'm feeling rejected. I'm feeling neglected. So as a result, I'm going to start being aggressive. And I think people do that. It's all across the board. I feel like, even in relationships, when you're feeling inadequate, you might, yell at your partner or get mad. Yes. And that quote always resonates me. But do you, I wanted to ask you though, do you feel like there's a connection between your time in the foster care system and to where you eventually ended up becoming incarcerated? Do you feel like there's a connection between that?
Oh, absolutely there is, because even though I know that the foster care system has improved, when I was coming along, most of the kids that I saw in my older years, when I went to start going to juvenile hall and the boys ranch, why eventually prison, I saw a lot of the people that I was in the foster care system with. And I was like, wow, most of them have become either drug addicts or gang members. The females that I knew from foster care, from the children's shelter, they become either prostitutes or had heavy drug addiction. Yeah. And I saw the connection because we're filled with so much hurt, pain, trauma, and unresolved issues that we continue with the negative behavior, which led us to a destructive lifestyle. And living that destructive and reckless lifestyle led us to gangs, it led us to drugs, it led us to all these antisocial behaviors that eventually led us to prison or led us to an early grave. And I couldn't believe how many people, the vast majority of people I saw, turned into gang members, even the females. And because that's what drove me to the gangs, was the attention that I was getting, the attaboys I was getting for the violence that I was committing. That's right, homie. Yeah, for sure. Yo, you did that. And so once I got that, that status. I wanted to impress my older homeboys who I saw as my father figures. And I know for the other people coming up in the system, it was the same for them. And unfortunately, I know a lot that have passed away from drug overdoses. Some have passed away from suicide attempts. Because when I talk to people who I knew from childhood, you ask, "Hey, how's so and so doing? Have you seen so and so?" We start talking about people, and that's when I started to find out. And I seen the connection between the system and prison, because a lot of us come from abusive homes. A lot of us have suffer from low self-esteem and low self-confidence because we're told we're not worth it. We had it beat out of us. And so, we gravitate towards other things as a way to get that self-esteem and self-confidence and attention. And so, yes, absolutely, there's a direct connection, because when I look at them, I see myself, because all of us turn out the same. Sure, there's some success stories in the fact that they have made it out and been successful.
Yeah.
But the overwhelming amount of people who've come in the system have resulted either dead or in prison.
Yeah, and I think institutionalism plays a big part in it too. When you're growing up in an institution like you were, you said you went to the YA, you went to a boys ranch, you were in all these institutions. And I think that when you're growing up, that starts to become something that you know. And then you start to get that status and you start to get that respect, and you're getting into a lot of fights and aggressiveness, and you're starting to get that recognition because of it. I feel like that's what ends up leading you to going to prison. So, we got 1 minute left, man. Hey, look, man, I want to sincerely thank you today, man, for showing up. I'm looking forward to talking to you more, Clarence, man. I feel like you're, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, I feel like you're very authentic. You're very genuine.
Thank you, man.
I feel like you're one of the real ones out there, man, and one of the real ones in there, man. I'm glad that you're in there mentoring kids and that you're in there trying to change lives, man, and that, your story's powerful, bro. And I think we're just beginning to really talk about you and your story and like who you are. And I'm looking forward to talking to you a lot more, bro. And it's much love, man. And welcome to another podcast of Dropping the Soap. Anybody who's viewing, if you like what we say, subscribe, hit that like button. We got many more episodes to come. If you have questions, write it down in the comments below. Ask me, and I can ask them. Much love, much appreciated, man. Clarence, I want you to have a good day.